alert. That comes, of course, after fears of a Karachi-style attack by Al-Qaeda on the Indian forces there, the Indian Navy. Sources say that naval commanders have been asked to watch for unusual movement of Pakistani warships. My colleague and the NewsX's defense editor Vishal Thapar joining us now for further details on that. Well, Vishal, this is one development that really makes India cautious, considering that the Al-Qaeda had also hijacked the Pakistani frigate earlier. Now, Indian Navy on high alert. What are we contemplating at this time, and what could be really the precautionary note that we can work upon?
No, the Al-Qaeda did not hijack any Pakistani warship. There was a reported attempt which was foiled. Okay. So after over a decade ago, an American destroyer called the USS Cole was rammed by terrorists on a small motorboat. This happened in the Middle East. And after that, all navies across the world, including India's, have taken additional force protection measures. A warship is most vulnerable when it is entering harbour or leaving harbour, and at that time there are additional measures taken for force protection. They are on extremely high alerts, and they have deployed additionally their machine guns for force protection, and of course there are additional lookouts. Now at sea, a warship does not let any ship come close to it unless its purpose is known. Now, an aircraft carrier, when it travels, it does not let any other ship come within 10 nautical miles of it. All these warships are equipped with radars. They can spot movement of other ships tens of miles, and they do not let anyone close. So, so these are proper protection and sanitization measures which are practiced. This report which you are referring to has appeared in the Indian Express, but I mean, there's as far as the Indian Navy is concerned, there is no sort of additional alert or threat over and above what is already there. After this whole incident, and after it has been known that terrorist groups are also using the sea to advance their purposes and objectives.
All right, Vishal, we'll have to leave it at that. Thanks very much, though, for joining us with those details. Well, let's now move on and get you some other news. This is about the confrontation which is currently on the border. The face-off along the border is only escalating by each passing day. Even though firing has stopped along the border overnight, the villagers continue to flee to safer zones. NewsX traveled to the war zone, the ground zero, to bring you reports from the line of control as well as the international border.
We did try to go and speak to some of the BSF personnel out there who did not, who were not rather keen on talking. Of course, in these circumstances, it would be really hard for the people out there to be coming out and talking on camera while they are facing such a massive crisis. And also talking about the people and the civilians living in this area, they have moved out, and we have already seen the state government saying that they would be coming up with a package for people living in the villages like this one, wherein they would be given additional plots in safer areas where they could migrate as and when required in case such ceasefire violations take place, and also a special recruitment drive, and of course some kind of camps, shelters to be created in safer areas even for the livestock of these people, because remember that remains a very crucial thing for these people. While they leave their belongings at their homes, they move out to the safer places, their livestock remains a major cause of worry. So while the situation continues to be quite volatile, the people continue to fled from these areas. The BSF of course is standing guard and is taking care and retaliating to the Pakistani aggression in equal caliber. We'll be returning this for Sohail Bukhari, Laundry Post of BSF at International Border in Hiranagar for NewsX.
And the Prime Minister has responded to Pakistan's provocations quite strongly, and NewsX has exclusive details of Modi's Nail Pakistan plan. Here's India's plan to counter Pakistan's venom with venom.
जब सीमा ललकारती है तब नेताओं की बयानबाजी नहीं होती है, जवानों की उंगली चलती है, ट्रिगर पर उंगली चलती है.
Pakistani establishment was listening, these words are sure to have sent a shiver down their spine. The Prime Minister making it very clear that India is responding to Pakistan's treachery with unprecedented venom. You heard the rhetoric, now it's over to the specifics.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi might have not spoken a lot, because of which he invited a lot of criticism, but surely the action took place 48 hours ago. On Monday itself, there was a clear strategy in place and orders with the troops and the forces at the border that they need to retaliate in full measure, in full force, which is what has been happening, be it deployment or be it destruction. We have seen casualty on our side, but the casualty is only 5 times more on the Pakistani side.
Prime Minister Modi's bluster reflected that of his cabinet as well.
If Pakistan persists with this adventurism, our forces will make the cost of this adventurism unaffordable.
The message is certain and clear. The question now remains as to how long will it take for Pakistan to get the message and immediately cease its fire.
Right now we are in Abdullah subsector of Araspura sector here at international border, and you could hear that massive sound. Remember, through the day there was no ceasefire violation, no exchange of fire, but by the evening it's again started. Various areas of international border are affected where exchange of fire is on.
We are retaliating appropriately in a very befitting manner, much stronger. Pakistan, whatever does, will be replied very strongly. We cannot tolerate Pakistan targeting our civilian population in the border area.
चोट लगी है, नॉर्मल है, इतनी ज़्यादा चोट नहीं है. दोबारा फिर जाएंगे, हम उधर लड़ेंगे, फिर जाएंगे. उनकी तरफ से काफ़ी फायर चल रहा है, रिप्लाई हम भी अच्छा वो कर रहे हैं. ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है, हमारी तरफ से कोई कमी नहीं है. लेकिन हम अभी ठीक होने के बाद वापस बॉर्डर जाएंगे, फिर लड़ेंगे. इसे शुरू हुआ था फायर, अभी 7 बज गए, अभी तक लगातार फायर चल रहा है. हमारे मवेशी भूखे पड़ रहे हैं, फसल तबाह हो गई है पूरी, इतनी भी है, कुछ फ्लड से है, कुछ गोलाबारी से.
With Sohail Bukhari in Ground Zero, Bureau Report, NewsX.
Well, despite the growing tension, Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister is optimistic about India-Pak relationship and called it yet another low, though he's hopeful for the future.
Umar, do you think that it is a part of the overall posturing that seems to have changed since Nawaz Sharif's address to UNGA that all this is happening?
Well, I think if I remember correctly, a lot of this happened before Nawaz Sharif's address to the UNGA. The last week of August also saw very heavy shelling in exactly this area, and so I don't think there has been any major shift in Pakistan's overall outlook. Perhaps the only thing that has changed is the spread of the shelling and also the way in which civilian areas are being deliberately targeted.
Has enough been done by the government of India, by the security forces to retaliate in the appropriate?
Look, it's not my job to gauge the retaliation. It is the government of India's, as I said, responsibility to decide how best to deal with this situation. My responsibility, the state government's responsibility, is to ensure that we are able to take care of our population to the best extent possible. 8 casualties in the shelling is a large number. The fact that we lost 5 people in Arnia alone in one night is a major loss that we have suffered. We are now trying to ensure that as this situation unfolds, that there are no more losses of life.
And responding strongly to statements being made from the Indian territory, Pakistan's defense minister has said that the country is capable of responding befittingly to the Indian action on the border. He said, and I quote, "We do not want the situation on the borders of the 2 nuclear neighbors to escalate into confrontation, and India must demonstrate caution and behave with responsibility," unquote.
भक्ति से अगर हिंदुस्तान डर गया तो फिर इससे बड़ी दुर्भाग्य से कल नेपाल यही कहेगा, परसों बर्मा यही कहेगा. यह कौन सी बात हुई? हिंदुस्तान की सरकार और प्रधानमंत्री का 56 इंच का सीना कहाँ रह गया है? अभी देश की जनता देखना चाहती है और देश की जनता बहुत आहत है.
Well, our colleague Supriya Bardua joining us now for further details. Supriya, the way Defence Minister of Pakistan has come out with the statement raking the N-word yet again, well, it only speaks of how what Pakistani authorities feel. They are left, it seems, with no more options than raking the N-card, considering that their military power or strength is not even half of the Indian side.
Absolutely, Piyush. At the same time, at the border, the international border, when the shelling and firing was happening from the Pakistan Rangers side, India has given a befitting answer and a very strong answer. That's why from last 12 hours there isn't much of shelling or firing happening at the borders. However, 130 borders across the international, 130 villages across the international border have been severely hit, and the people there are actually moving out from these villages to safer areas. We are also learning that though there are just two small incidents of firing which were just 1 or 2 minutes, and when heavy the shelling was happening for just 1 or 2 minutes in Samba sector as well as the Kathua sector, but Indian forces have also given a befitting answer, following which in last 12 hours there isn't much reports of shelling or heavy firing at the international border. But as far as the Pakistan is concerned, it seems there's a change in the strategy. That's what the BSF sources are informing us. They are saying that the minute they see movement of any sort, whether it's from the civilian or from the force side, they fire. And they are saying that that is one reason why since morning, late evening yesterday and today in the morning also, we are getting these reports that the BSF officer, the officials as well as the local administration is trying to tell the people that wherever this heavy shelling is taking place, they shouldn't go back to their houses at the moment and stay in the safer areas. Once the shelling is reduced to the minimum level, that's when they should go back and see as to what the situation in the houses are.
All right.